Howdy, y'all. This is Gail, voice of the sound editor. During this episode, we are running a game of Never Tell Me the Odds, the rules for which we go over at the beginning. If you would like to jump straight to the story, go ahead and jump to about 6 minutes and 55 seconds. Thanks for listening.
Dust is in my eyes, my blood is on the ground. Quiet little chuckle and the shuffling of the boots of the coward that shot me down. He turns toward the sunrise and I hear him softly say, I guess you've met your macho man, as the colors fade to gray.
Howdy, partners. Dust and Blood is a rabble-rousing, rootin'-tootin', bronco-bustin' podcast not suitable for the ears of youngins. Take a gander at the content warnings and listen with care.
Welcome to Dust and Blood, a narrative play podcast set in the wild, weird fantasy West. I'm Blake, your GM, and our players are Keith Curtis as Jasper Graves, Corinne Hill as Myra Sting, Zach Parker as Maz Copernicus Pryor, and Gail Parker as Bonesaw.
Hi, everyone!
Hi.
Welcome to Elsewhere in Dust and Blood, which we're doing tonight because Corinne is out. It's the rest of us. Blake is going to be playing a character, and I'm taking over as GM for the night. Wahaha. Tonight, we are going to be playing Never Tell Me the Odds, which is a really fun system. It's a fast tabletop role-playing game about risking everything to save what matters. And I will be your risk moderator this evening, Gabby, and you will all be player characters. This is a system that is really ideal for one-shots and 3 to 4 hour sessions. Frequently, characters will just up and die, or they'll be burned by the end of it. But that's the idea. It's high risk, high reward, big swings, dynamic play. So I encourage you to embrace that this evening. I'm just going to do a real quick rules overview to get us on the same page. You've already made your characters, your scoundrels, which have sort of a high concept, and then a species and a specialty, which make you better at some things and worse at other things, and will change roles, which we'll talk about in a minute. And you have also chosen 6 factors: a belief, your physique, 1 possession, 1 relationship, a reputation, and a resource. And you have ranked those factors by their values. You have 2 high, 2 medium, and 2 low. Now, as we're playing tonight, when we come across a situation that requires you to risk something, I will call for a check as the risk moderator, and I will tell you what level risk that check is at: high, medium, or low. And you can decide what factor you want to risk. It does not have to match the high, medium, or low, but if you do match, you have a 50-50% chance of success or failure. We're going to flip a coin. And if you get evens, then you succeed. And if you get odds, then you fail and you endanger your factor, which means that if you risk it another time and would endanger it again, you would lose it entirely. So you can lose these factors. The other option you can go over. Say the risk is a medium risk and you want to use one of your high factors. In that case, on an even, you would succeed. On an odd, you would still succeed, but you would endanger a factor. And if you chose to go under, say it was a medium risk and you used a low factor, then you would succeed on evens, but also endanger your factor. And on an odd, you would lose that factor entirely, not endangered, and also fail the roll. In addition to your factors, you can always risk your life, which always counts as going over, even if it's in a high-risk situation. There are things that can modify your risk. Specifically, we talked about your species and your specialty. Say, because of your specialty, maybe you're an action fighter or something. And so you are better at combat scenarios than any time we were in a combat scenario. Any checks that would be a high risk would be medium risk for you. And any checks that were medium risk would be a low risk for you. These can also stack. So if you get things that mediate your conditions, then those will stack. You can also cooperate and try to lower somebody else's risk by risking your own factor. So in a scenario where maybe somebody was trying to blast open a door, but it was really high risk because there were guards right around the corner, you could say, okay, well, I want to lower the risk of that check by trying to distract the guards or lure them away. So I will use this factor to justify my luring the guards away, and if that succeeds, then it would lower the risk for the player trying to blast open the door without getting caught.
I'm going to use my resource of making balloon animals to pop a balloon as soon the exact instant the bank vault explodes.
Now you understand how this game is played.
Sorry, I didn't realize it was loaded.
I did gloss over one thing, so thank you for reminding me. You do have to narratively justify your factors when you use them. So if you want to use your possession of the toy that you've carried since you were very young, then you have to say, oh, I used the toy to lure the guards away, or somehow you have to justify it narratively. There are also conditions, which are sort of loosey-goosey RM discretion. If you fall down a mountain or something, I might give you like the bruised and battered condition to reflect that you are hurt, and that might modify checks. Like if you had to climb up a wall and you're bruised and battered, I might say, okay, for everyone else that's a medium risk check, but that's a high risk check for you. So that's how that works. You can choose to secure an endangered factor by risking another factor at a risk that is equal to the endangered factor's level. So if one of your high factors is endangered and you want to secure it, either you or somebody else has to risk a high level factor in order to secure it. So they might end up endangering their own factor of the same level.
Okay.
There is no formalized combat aside from the fact that it's kind of short, mostly narrative, and rather than me playing the characters, if you roll on an odd, then you get hit back. So that's the only real combat mechanic built into this system. If you lose a factor, you may be able to replace it. It's at RM discretion and may require significant risk. So just letting you know that is a thing that could happen. We enter on a dusty town central to the Arizona territories. Phoenix is barely half a decade old, and yet it's already booming, courtesy of water brought to arable land by the Swilling Irrigation Canal Company. The town boasts a dozen roads neatly lined up along Center Street, its own post office, and 16 well-frequented saloons. It's 1872, and the perfect place to expand a new branch of the Blue Scale Bank. A bank which has already grabbed the attention of several local eyes and ears. In the back room at the Tiger Saloon, gathered around a rough-hewn table sticky from spilled drinks, sit 3 scoundrels, up to no good, plans for a heist already underway. But before we get into that, we're going to jump to a few days before to a train pulling up at the local station, a dark figure leaping from the last cart to disappear into the crowds, with all the marks of his last job thoroughly scrubbed away, and a telegram burning a hole in his pocket. Billy, would you please describe yourself?
Well, Billy stands about 5 feet tall. He has a wide-brimmed hat that keeps the sun off him during the heat of day. He has a look about him like he's constantly being hunted. His eyes dart left and right, never seeming to settle. In fact, any close watcher would notice that at least some part of his body is always moving. If he's sitting perfectly still, his index finger is tapping, or there's a subtle twitch. He is dressed head to toe in black leather, and he carries a pair of extremely nice-looking pistols at his side. Long white hair, and the absolute identifiable look of the Dark Elves.
Wonderful. Perhaps Billy pulls out the telegram that he received several days ago.
I would like to do that, and I'd like to read it, because somehow it seems to have slipped my mind. Ooh, look at that.
I'm also going to whisper you some secret things that you know.
Thank you, because this is an interesting cipher. Okay.
You can choose to share, or you can keep it to yourself for now. It is up to you.
I think I will keep it to myself at the moment, and I will share it if it will advance the action, the plot, or in otherwise be dramatically appropriate. But he is going to make his way through the crowds, through the town, trying to look out for a place where such people might congregate.
You are, because you're a bounty hunter, as your specialty, better at finding people.
That is true.
I don't think this is a risky check, so I'm just going to say you are very good at this sort of thing, and you can just do it. As I said, there are 16 saloons in town, but you find the seediest one of them. The one that creaks when you walk in, but nobody looks up because they're used to the whole building creaking all the time. The one where you know the dust is never getting swept out of those corners, and there's a little sticky ring on the inside of the glass even before your drink gets poured. You find yourself at the Tiger Saloon, and there is actually a game in progress at one of the back tables. A couple of rough-looking folk and one gentleman. Perhaps you'd like to describe yourself?
Why, thank you kindly. I would absolutely love to explain a little bit about myself. This man is wearing a monocle in one eye. It looks very dirty, but he seems to be not having any issues with it. A top hat, slightly reddish hair, a very thin mustache and goatee coming down, and he is dressed much finer than most of the other people in this here town. He pulls out his pocket watch on this golden chain, checks the time, flips it closed, and says, "Well, folks, I think it's time. We have some time for some more games, don't you think?" And he waterfalls the deck. He takes it and gives it a nice riffle, and there's just this slight glow to his hands as he starts casting cards out to each person. He lays out a typical pharaoh hand. Now, of course, since I'm the dealer, I'll go ahead and be the banker. All of you know how to play this game, right? You have to come in, all the punters, put in your chips, put your checks in. We're going to put in our... No, you need to put it in. No, go ahead. No, take your time. Perfectly fine,
Most of the roughs at the table seem like they've seen this game before, but they're sort of dazzled by the light flickering around your hands at the smooth draw of the cards as they hit the plush green surface, and they take a minute as they're putting in their chips. You perhaps look up and see Mr. Midnight entering, and I just want to check in on our third person. Boomstick, do you think you would be in a place such as this, or do you think you'd be elsewhere?
Ooh. Boomstick doesn't really know where Boomstick's going. I think he was drawn in by the nice loud camaraderie of the town, and he's just looking for something to drink. Doesn't quite know exactly where he is. His mind's not all there these days, but he's just poking about.
Okay. Can you tell us a little more about what you look like?
As Boomstick enters the tavern, you all watch as a very out-of-place, churchly-looking fellow hobbles in on his cane, and he is a monkey. He's got bright red skin with very, very sharp white hair. You can tell he's quite elderly as he hobbles about. He's clutching to his stomach a very, very heavy looking bag, which he's not letting go of, and he seems very lost. Where am I? I'm thirsty! So he is going to hobble over to the bar. You got any orange juice?
Oh, orange juice. There's an elderly black half-elf at the bar, and she turns around, wiping a cup with, it looks like an eternal rag. And she says, well, I don't much know about orange juice in this here establishment, sir, but I suppose I could rustle around and try to find you something.
Sure! What?
Here's...
Okay!
She pours something into a glass and passes it to you.
Without even looking, he is going to stand up and walk towards the table in the back since it caught his attention and ignore the drink.
Well, alrighty then. What a strange gent.
It looks like there are a couple of seats open here. Would you mind if another player sat?
You fellas playing Go Fish?
Oh, both of you fellas can come and join. I hope you don't mind. I'm new to this town, and it's been a little while. I haven't gotten to know anybody who's around here before. You all know how to play Pharaoh. It's a simple game. I can help you out just a little bit. You put in your money, and we're gonna go ahead. Don't worry about. Oh no, fella, please, allow me to buy you the first drink.
I've been playing Pharaoh since before you were born, sonny! Deal me in!
Oh, then maybe you'll have to take it easy on me. I sure would hate to lose a card game to esteemed fellows such as yourself.
What's the ante?
The ante? Well, my friend, the ante is pretty simple. You just take this here copper, and he pulls out a 6-sided token and sets it down and says, now this, you don't need to know anything about copper in the bet. There's nothing that you need to know about that. Don't worry about that. And he takes the token and puts it back in his pocket. Now, what you want to do, ante is, I don't actually remember what the ante is.
Francis Sly Eye Bolton proceeds to explain the rules of Pharaoh. It is a game somewhat renowned for being easy to cheat at, either through means of sleight of hand by sort of like reaching out to adjust your bid because you can adjust in between card flips, and maybe some money goes up your sleeve, maybe some goes over there, and various other tricks, but very popular.
Boomstick is going to copy everything, hands down, that the bank is doing. So he's looking deadpan straight at the dealer, almost unblinking as he deals cards.
Well, I know a bunch of marks when I see them. I'm going to make myself a little bit of money here. I'd like to risk my reputation as the best gambler this side of the Rio Grande.
Okay, that is a medium factor for you, I believe?
Yes, that is a medium factor. What'd you say the risk is on this?
What are you trying to do exactly?
I'm trying to win.
Oh, at any cost. Okay, you're trying to scam the table.
Yes.
I'd like to help him.
Oh!
Okay, I would say this is normally a medium risk, but if Billy Midnight can justify another factor to lower the risk, then that would be a low risk. So how would you like to make it a little easier for Francis to cheat?
Billy has a low-value reputation of crazy as a loon. He's going to toss out a random amount of coinage and just kind of shuffle it around and just kind of confuse things a little bit. Say, is that right? You can correct me if you need to. I've only seen the game played once.
I will say it's a low risk to confuse things. Go ahead and flip.
Okay.
2. So you succeed because you used a low factor and you matched and you succeeded. So the risk for Francis is reduced to low.
Okay. I will also say, I'm a gambler, so...
Yes. You are better at games of chance. If it were a high risk, then you would be down another step.
Yep.
But as it is,
All right.
Billy has smoothed the way.
Going over. Let's see what we got. Oh, no!
Okay, so because you went over with your high level factor for a medium risk, but you failed your roll, you succeed at fleecing the table, but you endanger your reputation. Can you explain how?
I think Francis sees what Billy's doing and like how he's throwing the confusion in all of this, and Francis messes up one of his deals, and it's literally only because of the fact that Billy is throwing this confusion out on the table, that the big burly miner who would have won had it not been for this thing.
Hey, I thought I put that over there.
Oh, nope, sorry, my friend, that was a good try. Right, yes, I think that's enough for today.
Ooh, bingo! I got something!
You
What do I win?
win another drink, my friend. Another drink.
Orange juice, my favorite.
After this hand, I think he's definitely a little bit shaken, and I think both he and Billy know that he would have fucked up if it hadn't been for Billy.
I like that.
So that's how his reputation has been shaken a little bit.
Billy does give him a frankly disturbing smile. Kind of like a knowing nod passing between them. And he's going to take a look at this character sitting next to him. Has the barmaid brought drinks round?
She comes by right then.
Okay.
She has a couple of dirty dishes kind of piled. She looks sort of harried. The room is quite busy. And she says, "What'll you be having?"
I'll stand, and I'll take my hat off, and I'll say, "Anything that would please your fine establishment to provide would be most welcome."
Oh, that's very sweet. Oh, well, I'll just go pick something out for you and not use Bonesaw's voice just because I'm trying to use voices.
I'm going to tap Boomstick. You should stand when a lady approaches the table.
Is the Pledge of Allegiance yet? I'm here! Present!
Interesting.
On closer look at this elderly gentleman, the monkey, you notice that this bulky bag he's been keeping with him has what looks like a little string sticking out of the top of it. And as you kind of look more closely at it, you think it might be a fuse.
Ah, the smell of cordite.
Pretty soon, the owner of the tavern returns, and she hands you a nicer drink than the one she gave Boomstick. I'll just say that.
Many thanks, ma'am, and I will overpay her for the drink.
Aww.
By like several times over. I really don't understand coinage. I assume that's enough.
I'm gonna give you the condition friend of the waitstaff. Basically, you're cool with the staff here. They will work harder to help you.
Okay. Well, this game has gotten too rich for my blood. I'll be sitting over there when you're finished. I'd like to have a talk with you, Mr.
The name's Sly Eye. Picked that moniker up a few times, but you can call me Sly Eye or Francis. I'll come over and we'll have a little talk after. I think these folks are getting a mite restless.
Yes. I think I might have a use for talking to you too, sir. Looking at Boomstick. But maybe after I've had a chance to chat with Mr. Bolton here.
Hold that thought! Boomstick takes this opportunity to leave the table and try and flag down the waitress. Miss! Excuse me! I ordered orange juice! That wasn't orange juice!
I told
Miss,
you I ain't got
can
no
you hear
orange
me?
juice. I gave you slop. And if you want something different, you're gonna have to ask for it.
Is that how you talk to your elderly? This establishment is unpleasant.
It's how I talk to customers that haven't paid yet.
I'm not paying for something that's not orange juice.
Well, I'm afraid I can't help you, sir.
I would like to go and approach her aside a little bit and say, allow me to apologize for the uncouthness of some of your clientele. I'll settle his tab, and if it's any consolation to you, ma'am, I tip my hat, I have a strong doubt that he will come to this establishment in the future.
She blushes and says, "Oh, well, that's very kind of you, sir."
Kind to you, maybe not to that gentleman.
Will you be staying in town? Perhaps I could point you to a nice place to stay.
I would be most honored if you would do so, ma'am. Where can I find an establishment that would allow me to rest my weary bones?
Well, we actually have a couple of rooms upstairs.
Oh, you're too kind.
I even clean them once a month.
I'm sure you do, and I'm sure that I will find them most welcome and hospitable. I appreciate your efforts, ma'am. And now I think I'm going to talk to that fancy Dan over there. If you could bring me another one of those fabulous drinks you just brought, I would gladly welcome the opportunity to wash the trail dust from my parched throat.
Well, I will get right on that.
Thank you ever so much.
And he will go and sit at the indicated table and wait for Francis to make his move. I'm giving him time if he wants to finish fleecing his marks.
Not too long after that incident, he's going to say, "Oh, well, folks, thank you very much for playing. It's so sorry that you weren't able to walk away with more money, but that's the way that luck goes sometimes." And he folds up the table into way too small of a package, pulls out his cards, puts them in his pocket, puts the table, slings it over his back, and he's going to walk over, counting up this cash, and says, friend, I believe that you and I have some talking that you wanted to do." And he places about half of the money that he won in front of Billy.
Oh, many thanks, but you can keep your money. I don't think I'll be needing it. Let's just say that I have an opportunity for a man who can think quickly under pressure and has certain skills. Would you be interested in a small yet temporary job?
Well, I don't know what kind of skills you need, but I assure you, I am perfectly above board. And he flips one of the cards out from behind his hand, using a little bit of sleight of hand, and then flips it to his other hand, catches it, says, "But if the job is lucrative, as you say, I'm perfectly willing to help out a friend, especially one that I owe."
Well, let's just say that there are some sons of bitches in this here town who have a certain amount of ill-gotten gains that I would like to relieve them of. And it might require some skills to do so. And it might require, and I kind of look over at Boomstick, some sacrifices.
What time is it?
Francis kind of taps his head, gives you a wink, and says, "I think we can do some business, Mr.
Billy Midnight.
Billy Midnight."
Also called Darklands Billy, or Billy the Drow.
Oh, nice to meet you, Darklands Billy. I believe we have an accord.
Very well. I suggest that we let this establishment age through the day till there are fewer overhearing ears. Would you like to approach that somewhat colorful gentleman over there, or would you appreciate it if I would do so?
I believe since you're the employer, it would make sense for you to do so.
All right. And I will do so indeed.
Is there like a young farmhand or stable boy or somebody that you could send on an errand in here? Is there? I'm looking about seeing if there's somebody that I could say, "Hey kid, here's a buck, go and get me some orange juice."
You saw when you came in, there was a 14-year-old boy kind of shirking his duties over by the stables.
Okay. I will say, if you will pardon me, I shall return presently. Do not let our friend leave this establishment until I return, if and you can.
And I would like to go out and say,
"Excuse me, young feller.
Yeah, what do you want, mister?
You look like a lad of considerable skill and resource. How would you like to make $1?
Golly gee gosh, I'd love to make $1.
I'll tell you what. I have 2 right here. I'll give you one now. You go and fetch me some orange juice as fast as you possibly can. Being a local, I'm sure that you will know where to find such a thing. Even if you just have to buy oranges from the grocers. And I'll have this other $1 ready for when you return. And if you do it quick enough, you can keep the change.
I'll get right on that, mister.
Be off with you. I'll be waiting in that there Tiger Saloon yonder.
He scampers off to find you orange juice and returns a short while later with pulpy hands and maybe half a glass of foggy liquid.
Good enough.
But it's orange juice. It smells strongly of citrus.
I knew I could depend on you. Here you go. Take this. Don't spend it all in one place. Go forth and sin no more.
He snatches it and says, "Can't promise that, mister," and runs off into the stable.
Can't ask more. And I'd like to go back into the Tiger Saloon, see if Boomstick is still there, who I do not know by name yet. But
He's at the counter still berating the waitress, trying to get some more orange juice. She is doing her absolute best to avoid him.
She's about ready to smack you with a pod, I'll tell you that.
Pardon me, friend. What did you say your name was? I didn't quite catch it.
They call me Boomstick!
Well, Mr. Boomstick, I have right here something that may interest you, and I will slide over a glass of orange juice.
Oh, is that what I think it is?
I had a little talk with the mistress of this fine establishment and managed to procure what you were looking for, and I was wondering if you would be interested in returning the favor. That's free of charge, by the way.
As you say this, Boomstick downs the glass, and you can see that he is very noticeably coughing and sputtering. I hate orange juice! What do you want?
I was wondering if you, well, I could not help but notice the bag you were carrying and its contents, which seemed to be somewhat revealed. Would you happen to be a handy man with a stick of TNT?
They don't call me Boomstick for nothing, sonny! I took this from the mines down south. They're never gonna catch me, though. Boomstick's quick!
Well, I am looking for a man who is quick and a man who is skilled and who might have some experience with things of an explosive nature.
You came to the right place!
Excellent. Why don't you stick around for a while and have yourself a quiet sit-to, and you, me, and Mr. Bolton will have a meeting. I'll see if I can arrange a little back room for us to talk in.
Okay.
And I will gesture over to Mr. Bolton as a place. Well, that'd be a great place to go over and sit over there away from me.
Yeah, Bolton responds to that, just so gives a little nod.
Layla Conley, as you learn, is the proprietor, is more than happy to hook you up with a back room, which she ushers the three of you into. It is as private as it can be, given the establishment, but with the rustle of drunks and the shouting from various card matches gone wrong outside, it provides a good cover for any devious planning you have.
Alrighty. Well, before I get into the nature of this here endeavor I have in mind, are any of you familiar with the Arentoth family?
Arentoth. Heard the name, but can't quite place it. Who they?
Well, let's just say that they are of the draconic ancestry, of the blue nature. They have gotten quite wealthy through nefarious means, and I aim to alleviate them of these ill-gotten gains and I am offering to cut folks in for a share of the action. Is this something you might be interested in?
I'm always willing to line the pocketbooks of a few folk who have done wrong. I think it would be quite a fun time.
All right. Now we'll turn to Boomstick and say, do you know how to keep a secret?
Boomstick's great at keeping secrets. Like this one time when my friend told me that... Anyway, he got arrested, but... we had a great laugh about it.
I figured as much. Well, Mr. Boomstick, is that really your name?
I can't remember my real one. So I just look into my bag and see Boomstick!
Indeed.
So I gotta go with it, you know?
Well then, Mr. Boomstick, would you like to be a wealthier man?
Oh, ever since the missus kicked me out, it's been hard finding orange juice everywhere. The election coins couldn't hurt.
Indeed, a man trying to make his way in the world without the juice of the citrus fruit can be a miserable existence indeed.
This younger generation has it too easy. Back in my day, we had to go and dig for oranges in the ground, I tell you. Now they tell me that they grow on trees. They're a bunch of liars.
All right, you can see like gears like. Let's go on to track 3.
The three of you continue talking and establish that you're going to do this job together.
Billy will reveal the Blue Scale Bank is run by the Arentoth family, whom he describes as a bunch of criminal lowlifes.
Okay.
And the Blue Scales Bank is just brimming with cash and would be an easy target for folks of consummate skill and resources. It's looking at Boomstick and his bag. I would like to case the place first and see how it is guarded, who goes in and out. Now, the Blue Scales, the Arentoth family, they're actual dragons, not dragon folk.
So, you know that the Arentoths are a blue dragon family.
Yeah.
But as you learn, this is just general knowledge that everyone in town you could find out very easily. You know that the clerks at the bank are all kobolds, and the security is all dragonkin. So they're not dragons themselves, but
Gotcha.
they're sort of draconic bloodline related.
All right, hard to buy that kind of loyalty. Well, the tellers themselves will probably not be too much of an issue, but their security is dragon folk who might be a bit more of a hassle to get over.
If you want more information from casing the place,
Yes.
I think that would be... It depends how you're going about it. I think to kind of sit nearby and just watch the comings and goings, I would say that's a medium risk.
Okay.
But to, like, actively go in and talk to people there and try to see kind of what the different rooms are, I'm going to say that's a higher risk. Especially
Right.
if you're not going to take out an account.
I will say to my companions here, my countenance might be known to some of the people in that establishment. I would like to do my casing from outside. I have certain skills that might help in that. If one of you, and he's looking at Francis, like pleading,
Francis nods.
would like to go in and get the lay of the land, see if you can find out just the general layout of the place, and if you could get, I don't know if the vault itself will be visible, but if you could get an eyeball on that, I am going to make notes of comings and goings and when they are least likely to be staffed and guarded.
I can do that. Shouldn't be any issue whatsoever.
All right.
Go in, apply for a loan, see if its place is secure enough to hold all of my vast accounts. He adjusts his top hat a little bit.
Says the swindler.
What I would like to do is I would like to risk my physique of wiry and flexible to find a place where no one would suspect that somebody would actually be standing, sitting, crouching, lying down, twisted up in, or whatever, to be able to sit there and take notes. At 2 o'clock, they change shifts. At 2 o'clock in the morning, there's only one guard, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm going to say that that's medium risk.
My physique is low.
Okay, so you will be going under.
Okie dokie. I'm gonna risk it. 2.
Oh, okay. You succeed, but you endanger your wiry physique. Do you want to describe how that happens?
The place that I have found is directly across from the bank. There is a general store, which has a boardwalk in front of it. But if you go behind the general store, the foundation is actually raised, and a person of a wiry and flexible physique can work his way underneath the foundation, underneath the boardwalk, with a really good eye on that place, just sitting there in the dark. And it has become endangered because the number of people crossing the boardwalk is kind of loud, and he might have missed some details. And if it weren't for the fact that troop of square dancers came in and decided that this was a real good place to practice and maybe pass the hat in front of the general store, he probably could have got some better information.
Oh, hell's bells.
Okay. I love it. I'm going to do all the information at the same time. So let's go ahead and switch to Francis, and then I'll tell you overall what you've both learned.
Francis, he's going to go in and he's going to be pulling a little bit of that from some of the scams he's pulled in his day. Walk in all highfalutin, nice dressed hat, and he has gone to pull out several of the silver dollars that he keeps sewn into his belt. Give him some working capital to kind of throw around here, convince them that he's on the up and up, and not just that, but he has enough money that warrants special treatment.
Okay, so Francis, you approach, you see that this is a one-story building with sort of a flat roof. It's adobe. There's wood sticking out of it every couple of feet. And in front of the door is a very muscly looking dragonkin. He's got his arms crossed over his broad chest.
Well, in that case, Francis is gonna sidle on up. Ah, my good dragon folk. I am new in town and heard that this was the creme de la creme of where I need to store all of my money. I don't suppose you could set me up with a bit of a tour on the inside.
Oh, I don't do tours, but you can go on in. They should be able to help you in there.
Why, thank you, my good sir. What was your name? I'd like to know all of the employees that are going to be protecting my funds.
Oh, I'm Irving Carpenter.
Nice to meet you, Irving. Have a good day.
And you as well, sir.
Gonna go inside.
You step inside the bank. You can see behind the main desk, which holds sort of a heavy ledger and these blue iron scales for weighing money, is a shorter kobold with orange scales. She looks kind of preoccupied. She's scribbling something in the ledger. Off to the side, you can see a fancily dressed blue kobold kind of eyeing you up and down as you come in, and towards the back door you see an elderly dragonkin with gray scales.
Francis is just going to sidle on up to the front counter and say, "My good madam, I heard that this was the place to store my money. I'm new in town, you see, and I want to make sure that my money is well protected, and I heard there's no better place than the Blue Scales Bank. Now, I suppose I'm not so sure about that. I've only seen one guard, and it doesn't seem like it's all that secure, especially if I'm going to be taking out a loan and storing all of this vast money." And he pours out his money. This is one of my resources, a belt with silver dollars sewn into it.
I'm going to say this is a low risk.
cool beans. Beans that are cool. Yes.
Okay. Was that a match?
It was over, because it's a medium.
Okay, so you just succeed full stop.
Yep.
And she says, "Oh, well, sir, I'd like to reassure you about that. I know we're a very new branch in town. We've only been around a couple of months, but the Blue Scale name, we have banks all across the nation. And your funds would be extremely safe here, sir. I know you can only see 2 guards, but we have very good security measures in place. There are a couple of other guards. They're on break right now. They're up on the roof. And I just want to let you know that all of the most reputable people in town are storing their money here. It's a very safe bank. You don't have to worry about a single thing."
Really? That does seem promising, but I'll tell you, back when I was in San Francisco, several years ago, they assured me that they had the best bank vault on the entire West Coast. And you know what? A couple of ne'er-do-wells came rushing in, blew the entire thing to smithereens. Now, you're not using the Lancaster 41-7B vault, correct?
No, sir, not that one.
You're not using the 41B Lancaster 7A, correct?
To be honest, sir, it would be quite difficult for most people to even get close to the vault.
Why is that?
Just defenses that we have in place. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to say more. You know, this sort of information could be very useful to someone trying to get into our establishment. We don't like to talk too much about it.
Oh, yes, of course. You know, you wouldn't want some random person to come in off the street and find out all of the secrets.
Boomstick takes this opportunity to enter the bank.
Okay, Boomstick. You see the same as before. Presumably, Billy from underneath the boardwalk across the way sees Boomstick making his way inside.
Yes.
Oh, crap.
Boomstick, already forgotten completely about the job, about the talk, everything. Walking down the street, sees the bank, remembers, it's about time I make a deposit at my bank. And walks in, is already well known by the staff, and goes up to the counter.
Okay, you say well known. Your reputation
Is not good.
is that you can never remember if you lit the fuse. Is that what the bank staff knows you for?
The bank staff know me for being a very old, crotchety man who is quite rude and is very particular about how he handles the money.
As soon as Boomstick crosses the threshold, this fussy-looking blue kobold comes over to him and says, "Sir, I told you before, you are not allowed on this premises. Irving, how could you let him pass?"
I need to make a deposit! I have $1 for my son, and it needs to go in the bank today!
Sir, I am afraid you must take your services elsewhere. We do not serve paupers.
I need to get into my account!
Irving! The blue dragonkin steps inside, his muscles rippling. He looks a little shamefaced that he let this guy in, and he grabs Boomstick by the back of the collar and his belt at the back of his pants and fully lifts him bodily and starts to swing him back and forth like he's gonna chuck him out the door.
Before he can be tossed out, he makes one quip at the person behind the counter. You should smile more.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The blue dragonkin, who looked like he was going to say, like, "Oh, gently now, we don't want a bad reputation," he swallows that, and you end up tumbling in the dust in front of the bank outside.
Younger generation, no respect, I say!
The blue dragonkin approaches you, Sly Eye, and says, "Sir, I am very sorry for that intrusion. That crazy person will not be bothering you again. I can assure you, I am the head teller here, and I guarantee the highest quality services at our establishment."
Well, I must say, I'm a little bit concerned that, it took so long for such riffraff as that to be thrown out. And your teller here couldn't give me any information about the bank vault. And, I've had such bad luck storing my funds at places that use the Lancaster series of vaults, and she cannot tell me what your security for that vault is supposed to be. And now how can I trust my funds with such uninformed staff?
Would you like to make another check with this new character?
Yeah, I should.
I think it's going to be another medium risk.
Okay. Because this is dealing with somebody who's a bit more richer folk.
Yeah! You have better at high society. So that'll be a low risk for you.
Okay.
You can tell he's giving you this up and down look. He sees you're his people, right? You've got your top
Yes.
hat, you've got your nice coat. He seems very at ease with you.
Okay. I'm gonna show off some of the silver dollars that I've got, running them across the fingers.
You see his eyes behind this little lens that he has for sort of examining things when they come in light up. And he says, "Oh, you seem to be a gent of some substance." And he actually takes you by the arm and leads you a little bit away from the desk.
Fuck!
So because you went over, you succeed, but you endanger your money.
Yes. I think I have to actually give them the money. I can't
yeah.
just keep flashing it. I'm gonna have to actually give them some of this money.
Yeah, so this blue kobold, he introduces himself as Oliver Lane, and as he's leading you away, he says, "Flora, would you get him set up with an account? Just start on the ledger work, be a dear. Go ahead." It looks like he kind of counts up the silver and gives a total, and he leads you over to this kind of sitting area and says, "Well, of course, now that you're a member of our bank, and I'm sure you'll be doing lots of banking here in the future, I suppose I could tell you a bit more about our security. One of the biggest things that no one knows, but it's so clever if you think about it, is that a lot of the things that would get normal people, they're keyed to dragon blood. So, of course, all of us working here, we don't have to worry about it, but someone else might struggle in those circumstances. Isn't that clever?"
Oh, that is the most clever thing. I knew I was right. I knew I was making the good decision to trust you, be able to make sure that all you folk are able to keep it nice and safe.
I think that even if you keep talking with him, you're not going to get much more than that.
Okay.
But I'm going to jump back to Billy, who has been watching the comings and goings on this place, including Boomstick going in and getting chucked back out. And one thing that Billy has noticed is that there are several dragonkin who arrive at the bank, and instead of going in the front door, they actually go around back and take the steps up to the roof. You're under the boardwalk, so I feel like you can't see what's on the roof.
Probably can't see on the top, no.
But you see 3 dragonkin and 1 kobold go up to the roof, and they stay there for hours. You can actually hear, the country dancers are there.
They're up there, whirl, whirl, twist and twirl, jump around like a flying squirrel. Alabama left with your left hand, all come out and form a square.
In your periods of brief respite from that, you faintly hear on the wind the clink of chips, the flutter of cards being laid down, a couple of hoots as perhaps a hand is won or lost. You think there might be a secret poker game up on the roof.
Okay. Well, my plan was to stay there for a full 24-hour period, just so I can get the bank schedule down.
Okay. After watching the bank for a significant period of time, you gather that the number of guards is the same during the day and during the night, but there are fewer tellers at night. The tellers go home, even though the guards switch out. And the poker game usually starts sort of in the late afternoon and goes quite late with drinking, and it gets more raucous as it goes. You also watch the elderly dragonkin with the grayscales exit several times out the back door when he's on his shift for a smoke break.
Okay. The folks who are having the game up on top, Is it an all-night affair, or do they generally knock off around 2 in the morning or something like that?
Yeah, they stay up pretty late, but they don't do it all night long.
When would I figure that the bank would have the least number of people in it?
Early morning. 3 to 6, maybe, would be your best window.
Under cover of darkness.
One thing you also notice, because you're staking out this place so consistently, you personally probably haven't met the Constable Sitsi. She is a Navajo woman with a couple of eagle feathers tucked into her cowboy hat, but you notice her come by several times a day, just like peering at the bank, kind of suspicious furrow on her brow. She never lingers very long, but she doesn't seem entirely at ease
Alrighty.
with the establishment.
Interesting.
Boomstick, if you want, you might have overheard some gossip while you're doing what Boomstick do.
Sure. What over here?
If you stick to the Tiger Saloon, it's a lot of lowlives. So you get a lot of complaints about the constable.
All right.
Along the lines of, oh, she's got something to prove and she's cracking down all over town with her deputy Hampton. And you also, there are some dusty workers. You gather they've been employed at the local mines, kind of building buildings. This town has seen a lot of growth lately, digging ditches, work of that sort. And several of them were actually hired briefly to work on building the structure of the bank. And you gather that work on the plot actually started a long time ago, and it involved a lot of digging, but successive series of people would get hired and then fired again. They don't really have a clear idea of what that really ended up involving. And the bank building itself actually just went up a couple of months ago, and the building went up very quickly, but the plot was active much before that.
Okay.
You all gather at your table in the back room to discuss your findings and make a plan.
All right. The place is least guarded at about 3 in the morning. But the guards, before they leave, will probably be in their cups and not likely to be too attentive or able to raise a ruckus. But I would like to avoid altercations if I can.
I'd agree with that. The less people that know we was in there before everything went down, well, the better for us.
What did you find out about the vault?
Well, interestingly enough, most of the dangerous traps that they have in there are keyed to not trigger those with dragon blood in them. So I'm thinking we're going to need to grab one of the folk that works in the bank, take them with us for a little bit of a walk down into the cellars, might avoid some of the worst traps down there.
I think that fussy gentleman who goes out for the smoke breaks might be able to be waylaid. He leaves at about o'clock. Maybe if he never quite made it home. But if he were to be convinced that we could use his help, willing or no.
He seemed like a pretty old folk in the back there. I think that could work out just fine.
All right. And I aim to employ your talents, Mr. Boomstick. I think that you might be very good at causing a distraction.
I heard that they built a big hole down in the ground! Big hole with lots of digging and lots of dynamite! And I got it the old-fashioned way by talking to people, rather than slinking around in the gutters and sliding into little holes and whatnot. I rolled up my sleeves and I got that information myself! Me! Boomstick!
I applaud your work ethic.
Well, hold up. What do you mean there was a giant hole? It's a bank.
They dug for months! Months, I tell you! And none of the workers know what it is, but they did something! Something down there! Something big! Something Boomstick could get into!
I would like to use my reputation of crazy as a loon to try and listen to the words in between his words and determine if this is something that is just existing in the fantasy world of Boomstick, or if there is a kernel of truth in here. And if need be, I will engage him in double talk and palaverin nonsense to try and work around and see if I can find some glimmer of truth here, if any such exists.
Okay.
I used to dig holes with my son! Big holes!
This might seem a bit odd. I think I'm going to say it's a medium risk check. You don't want to lose yourself in there. But Boomstick is actually worse at social interactions, so I'm going to drop it to a low risk, if that makes sense. He's not actively trying to confuse you, he just is confusing. So, low risk.
All right, then. Here comes a coin flip. This is actually a low value, so...
So you're matching.
2!
Hey!
Okay, you succeed. Nothing endangered. You managed to successfully divine everything that I told Boomstick earlier about how there were workers there for months, and they were sort of laid off in succession so that each of them only kind of got a piece of what was going on and never a full picture, and how there was lots of digging on the site where the bank eventually went up.
Interesting. You're a man of many surprises, Mr. Boomstick.
Boom!
Remind me to buy you an orange juice.
I hate orange juice.
I understand completely. I spit on orange juice. What's your drink of choice there, Mr. Boomstick?
Orange juice!
Exactly so. I'll make it happen. Now, I think I need to find out a good target for our distraction. I figure it's got to be something that's going to get the townsfolk who might be up at that hour to the other side of town. Perhaps a fire that needs to be put out. Or do you think it might be fine just to do the whole thing as quiet as possible? If in a fight or an explosion rings out, we're going to be gathering some attention that might not be wanted.
I think a little bit of quietness might be in order. We can keep an eye, make sure that there's nothing too dangerous going on.
I'll use my silent bombs.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Boomstick. I do have a job for you. How good are you at climbing?
Oh, the best there is! Absolute! You can definitely tell he's not good at climbing.
Yeah.
He has a cane, he has a very frail body, very old. Maybe once in his youth, but I used to climb trees that were miles high! Miles high!
Well, I once again, I applaud your skills, but I was wondering if maybe you and I could work together on this little plan here of mine. We do not need to have a distraction in the first place, but it might be useful to cause one. Now, I noticed that not too far from this here bank, there is a granary.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And if somebody were to place a few sticks of combustible material at the top of said granary, and if somebody needed to cause a distraction in a hurry, a well-placed gunshot might just set that whole thing off. But I don't think I want to risk you, sir. You're too valuable. So, if you would like to accompany me and show me which of your many sticks there you would think would be most suitable for such an endeavor, I would be willing to shinny up there and put 'em up myself.
I got just the thing!
Seeing as I am used to operating in the dark.
Boomstick ruffles into his bag a little, and you see him pull out what looks like just a solid brick. No fuses, no nothing on it, but it's quite hefty, and he pats it quite proudly.
This'll get it done.
Oh, Jesus.
This'll wake up the next town over.
We're gonna kill everybody in this town, including ourselves.
Well, let us hope that we do not need to use it, but it would be a good insurance if, for instance, we were to catch the attention of that noble lawwoman who patrols this place. I would not like to face her in combat. I might find myself unable to cause her harm. But if people were to be distracted, let us call that Plan B, in case we get into a bit of trouble.
Boomstick!
Anybody who's got themselves a shooting iron, seeing if you can take out that little prize we're going to put at the top of the granary.
Francis just flicks one of his cards, and it lights on fire as he does and says, "Not a problem, friend. I think I can hit that from here." And then he extinguishes the card and slides it back in the deck.
Well, there, I am impressed. And if you are not available, and he takes out one of his guns, spins it around, spins it sideways, spins it up, flips it back in, puts it back in his holster. I reckon I might be able to cause some ruckus myself.
You guys are so dang cool.
I would like to do one more thing. I would like to risk a resource.
Okay.
I would like some more information on the sheriff of this town, the marshal.
Ooh.
And
okay.
I'm going to take a little trip over to the telegraph office and give them a name, and that name is going to go out somewhere into the wilderness and come back hopefully with an answer that is well researched.
Ooh, I like this. I like this very much. You don't have to roll for that. I don't think it's a significant risk. It's just a resource at your disposal. So you do this early on. You write your telegram in this special code, say the right name, get sort of a wink and a nod from the operator. And several days later, you get another one back. They do not have very much information on the constable herself, Constable Sitsi, other than she's from a Navajo tribe, has only been the constable for about a year, pretty fresh, pretty new, still trying to prove herself, but her deputy Vera Hampton, is also a drow, and happens to come from a family that your contacts know about.
But not my family, I'm taking it. Or not my new family.
No, different family. Deputy Vera Hampton left her family probably half a decade ago, five years ago, and has been living on the surface ever since, completely cut ties, does not speak to them anymore, and is very active in the local law, very good friends with Constable Sitsi.
It's so hard to see a bad person go good. Well, two women folk, one of them's going to have to be thrown under the coach for the other, I think. Keep that in mind.
Does Billy tell the rest of us this information?
I will identify the law folk, but I won't go into any details about their background.
Okay.
I will, however, point out to them it might be a good idea to keep out a weather eye for the deputy. Seeing as she is like unto my own kin, it is very likely that she might be out and about in the wee hours of the dark.
As I understand it, and you can correct me if I have any of this egregiously wrong, or even a little bit wrong, any amount of wrong, you all are going to go to the bank in the wee hours of the morning, just when the poker game is letting out. You know that this elderly dragonkin with the tobacco habit often partakes in those games, and should be stumbling home at about that time in the morning. You're going to try to waylay him and use him to bypass some of the lighter security at the bank during those early hours.
I think that is our plan.
That is our plan.
We are also going to set up our plan B.
Plan Boomstick.
Yes, you're gonna put a block of something that go boom at the Richards Flour Mill, which is just across the way.
Jesus Christ.
Towards the top, where it could easily be shot or lit by a magic card as a backup.
Mr. Bolton, do you have any way of magicking it up there?
I'll be honest, most of my magic is in the cards themselves and a little bit of wibbly wobbliness keep people's eyes. They see an ace when they're actually holding a 2, if you catch my drift.
Yes. Well, it will require some stealth and some skill to get it up there without being noticed.
Boomstick can be real quiet if he wants to. Silent as the night.
You know what, Mr. Boomstick? It might be good if you were to be particularly loud and in another direction during this endeavor.
Boomstick can do that too. He specializes in it.
All right. Then let's do this at around sundown, or shortly thereafter. I would like to use low value, wiry, and flexible, but hopefully I can get Boomstick to help me somehow, if you got anything.
He does have a few firecrackers, few heavier explosives in his bag. He's got it all.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it is a high risk to climb up into the mill, avoiding all gaze at sunset to set an explosive.
Oh, wow. And I've got low.
Oh boy.
But if Boomstick is going to cause a distraction, that will be a low risk check to reduce your high risk check to a medium risk check.
Okay.
All right.
First Boomstick.
So I'm going to use my box of boom resource to throw some firecrackers down on the ground to distract people, which will be going over, and we're gonna flip a coin for this. So heads, I succeed, and it is tails. So I still succeed, but my box of boom is looking a little bit light. You know, I only have a few more tricks up my sleeve, and that's it.
Okay. Your box of boom is endangered, but you do draw the eye of everyone in the area, which makes it a little bit easier. In this case, it will be a medium check to plant the explosive.
All right. Low against medium. Here we go. 2!
Okay.
Oh.
So you succeed in planting the dynamite, but you do endanger your physique.
Well, I have already endangered my physique.
No.
Ooh, okay.
So I think that, yeah, I get it up there just fine and it's all set. But on the way down, a rotten rung of the ladder gives way and I tumble about 20 feet and land not well. And I am no longer considered wiry and flexible because I have done something to my shoulder.
I'm going to say you break your leg.
Oh, God.
Do we see this?
No, everyone is distracted.
I was successful.
Including Boomstick! Whoa, look at all those colors!
Everyone's eyes are drawn to this colorful display elsewhere, and so Billy, you are left lying on the floor of Richard's flour mill with your leg broken, but the dynamite's in place.
Oh, dear goodness gracious me, oh my. This is a revolting development. I'm going to look around for something to splint it with, I suppose. How badly broken is it?
Badly enough that it would be too painful for you to kind of crawl and use your frame in the ways that you normally would, your physique. You're going to be sort of clumsy, you're going to have difficulty moving quickly, the things that your physique would have helped you with before. I'm actually going to impose the condition broken leg, just to kind of describe that. So any time that a situation would be affected by that.
All right, then I will splint it up as best I can. I'm going to tie it real tight enough so that I can fit my leg back into my boot. But the boot is obviously slightly deformed now because there's a couple of sticks sticking in there. You know, I'm actually going to have to tie something around the boot itself to keep things from slipping around in there. So, yeah, walking with a limp now.
With it splinted, you are mobile,
Okay.
so you managed to rejoin your companions.
That did not go well.
Oh.
Billy, how the hell are ya? It's been ages.
I have a feeling that the ladder was rotten.
You seem to have a little limp there, Billy.
Oh, hell's bells. Do we need to get you to...
What happened?
Took a bit of a tumble, sir.
Me too. Do you like my cane?
He waves it around,
God.
nearly hits Francis with it.
Well, we do have a bit of time. Do you know a doctor in town?
Oh, I got like 5. They tell me I'm gonna die very soon.
No.
I would like a doctor who is not going to tell me I'm going to die.
I can't help you.
You could probably find a bone saw that could take care of this for you. Probably not gonna lose the leg. I doubt it.
Let us hope that this does not happen. But I am determined to see this through. I will not, however, be able to run very fast.
That makes one of us.
Well, if everything goes according to plan, we'll be able to saunter right out of there.
So who is the doctor in town?
There is no doctor in town permanently, but
How about a veterinarian?
with Boomstick's help, you managed to track down Ethel Tyler, a half-orc wandering librarian, who has a couple of books on medical practices and has dabbled a little bit in the past.
Good enough for me. She is to be respected.
Ethel clucks over you like a wounded chicken, and she says, "Now, dearie, I'm gonna get you fixed right up. You're just gonna have to rest it for a little while, okay?" And she douses you with alcohol and ties it up tightly.
Do you have anything for pain? I would prefer not to have it be a distraction. I received this while attempting to save someone who was about to be run over by a stagecoach.
God, I wish I could make you roll bluff.
Poor child, but she will live and go on to be a happy, well-adjusted adult.
Okay, this is actually, I'm going to say this is a low-risk check to deceive your current doctor into thinking you're a good person.
Basically, I am attempting to use my belief that womenfolk are to be respected, obeyed, and never killed. To instill within her a sense of my deep respect for her skills and profession, and that her advice will be obeyed. And if she could somehow see some way of helping to alleviate my suffering after my heroic action.
Excellent. And that is a high value for you, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you'll be going over the low-risk check.
2.
You succeed.
Ooh.
She clucks over you even more and says, "Oh, don't you worry about a thing, dearie. I have this right here." And she gives you whiskey to help with the pain.
Many thanks. I will take the preferred whiskey. But I take it this doesn't do anything to reduce the problem of the broken leg.
I think I will actually say that because you took the time and you did some preparations to mitigate it affecting you, I'm going to take away the broken leg condition, but I'm going to give you the inebriated condition instead.
All right.
You are
Very
going
well.
to be worse at coordination and tactical thinking.
The pain has reduced. And I think I can see clearly now.
Oh no.
Way forward.
We're fucked.
This is exactly in the spirit of Never Tell Me the Odds.
Like I said, we're fucked.
All right, then. Let us proceed.
You make your way back to the bank just as the poker game is breaking up. It's about 1 a.m. They finished a little bit early, and you all hide in an alley and watch as a couple of these people wander off. A couple of them look like they're the guards for the night, so they stay and go inside the bank. There's sort of a slender golden dragonkin and a beefier looking brutish red scaled dragonkin, and they both go inside. They look like they're the evening guards, which you recognize from your watching in the past. And your target, the elderly gray-scaled dragonkin, begins to wander off down an alley. He's got his wrapping papers out, and he's kind of licking the edge and pulling out a little bit of leaf. He looks like he's rolling his next cigarette.
Francis is going to sidle on up to him and say, "My friend, how are you doing on this fine evening?"
Oh, you got a light?
"I always got a light." Lights his fingers on fire.
Oh, that's mighty handy.
"Tell you what, friend." He starts playing with the cards a little bit, giving them that full riffle. Sounds like y'all were having a quite fun game up there, weren't you?
Oh, you know, it comes and it goes. I ended up lighter of pocket tonight.
Oh, you know, you seem like somebody who could use a friend, an older gentleman such as yourself. Well, there's a way that you and I and my friends could make ourselves a little bit no longer needing to worry about that lighter of pocket issue, and make sure that we have all the things we want, all the finer things, Cuban cigars, the best tobacco.
If you're suggesting poker, I'm afraid I'm gonna be done for tonight.
Puts a hand on his shoulder. What's your name? What's your name, fella?
Ellis Ford. What's your name?
Call me Sly Eye.
Sly Eye.
Ellis, I'm not talking about doing any sort of poker. I think we're gonna play for some much, much higher stakes. You're gonna come with me and my friends. We're gonna slip inside. I think you should give us a little bit of a tour of the down below.
I'm over nearby, innocently scratching my head with the butt of a pistol.
Did you hear that? He called us friends! Boomstick has a friend!
Oh.
Oh, that's sweet. And I'm going to look at him and I'm going to... Yeah, let's be friends.
I'm going to say this is a high-risk check.
Okay.
Trying to convince one of these guards to go along with you.
Okay.
But I'm going to let Billy roll based on his reputation, crazy as a loon, because of the posturing in the alley to kind of intimidate him and lower that. And Boomstick can do the same.
It would have looked really good if he hadn't, like, kind of staggered and hiccuped in the middle of his laughter. Pardon me.
It is going to be a low check for Boomstick, but a medium check for Billy because he is inebriated.
Okay, well, that was a low value for crazy as a loon, and I rolled a 1. That's why I put in the hiccup and such. But
Oof.
Okay, so you went under.
Yes.
So you failed and you lose your reputation.
Oh no.
I'm no longer scary. I'm just that poor drunk drow.
Yeah, I think he feels a little sorry for you.
Yeah. And unfortunately for that reputation, I picked this moment to pull out this little flask that says "From Ethel" on it.
Oh.
Take a little nip. Sorry. Had a bit of a twinge.
All right, so no help from that side.
Boomstick is gonna try and straighten his hunched, frail body a little bit, stand a little taller, look a little bit more intimidating, and we're gonna see how it goes.
Medium value, so you're going over.
And it was a heads.
Success. Okay, so Billy tippling at his flask does not strike much of an image as you're trying to intimidate this older dragonkin to going along with you, but Boomstick, something about your hunched, scraggly body in this alley, the shadows at night, half of your face perhaps hidden from the light that is further down the street. You cut an intimidating figure. No one quite knows what's going on with you. And so as your hand, Francis, Sly Eye, tightens on this guy's shoulder suggestively as you lean in and talk about how you could fill his pockets with riches, Cuban cigars, better tobacco, he glances between all of you and go ahead and roll your check.
Okay, I'm going to use my belief of always have an ace up your sleeve and pull out one of the fine Cuban cigars that I've been telling him about.
I will allow it.
Yes!
That is a high.
Yes.
Going over.
Woo! Success!
Yes!
Success! Ellis's eyes lock onto the cigar. He glances over at your slightly sloshed companion and your menacingly shadowed figure who is also accompanying you, and he says, "Might be I could be convinced to help you fellas with a few things. Might be I forgot my, my work bag inside, and you fellas are just my buddies."
It sounds like a good plan. And
he reaches out for the cigar.
Francis holds it out and gives it to him, snaps his finger again so they're on fire, and says, "I think we have an accord. And don't worry, if anything goes too bad, just say that we coerced you into it, threatened to beat you. No one has to know. It's our little secret, right?"
Oh, no need to worry about that. Ellis leads you inside the bank. He actually leads you in the back door. And as you enter, the other two, you can kind of hear clattering from this side room over here that you haven't been in. Sort of the scrape of chairs and long, heavy sighs of people sitting down to a long night of work, but they're not actually out in this main area. And Ellis holds up a talon to his scaly lips and crooks his finger to bring you over to the other door, which looks like it has quite a bit more heft to it. It's this heavy metal door, and he pulls a key out from his neck, puts it in, turns it with a clank, and pulls that door open. Inside the room, it is empty except for a single trapdoor in the middle of the floor, and he says, "We sort of fake people out with that vault door. The real one's below."
Big holes! I told you.
He leans against the wall and puffs his cigar.
I would like to take a bullet, and I'm going to put it into the pathway of one of the pins of the vault door, so that even if somebody were to try to close this inside, they could not lock it.
That's very cool.
So Ellis is not making motions to come in with us.
He's leaning against the wall, puffing on his cigar, watching the group of you.
Francis is going to walk up and put an arm around him and say, "Why don't you give us the grand tour?" and lead him in.
Oh, right. Of course. He enters the room, leans down, he kind of, "Oh, my back. Would one of you younger folk mind lifting up the trapdoor for me?"
Holds out one of the cards. "I think you'll manage on yourself, Ellis. You're gonna earn that cigar, aren't you?"
Very well. He leans down very creakily with much groaning and manages to get the heavy trapdoor up.
Well done for such an old man. Are we ready to proceed? Are we all going down into that little hole there? I mean, I can go down there without the benefit of a torch or a lantern, because I have the eyes of a mole.
God, drunk Billy is killing me.
I'm pretty sure I got a torch or something that'll light on fire this bag of here.
I also can provide a bit of light for myself. I'm talented that way. Lights his hand on fire.
Mr. Ford, What sort of surprises might be lurking down there?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of traps in the vault.
I want you to concentrate real hard, and I'm going to give you something to fixate your mind on and concentrate. And I'm going to pull out my gun, and I'm going to be pointing it somewhere in the direction of his eyes.
Oh, why don't I just climb down this ladder first and flip the switch that turns off the dart trap?
That's a real good idea. Mr. Boomstick, why don't you go down and give him a hand?
Boomstick can do anything!
He heads down the ladder and a few feet in, and you hear a click as he flips a switch that turns off a trap.
Is it about time to make my deposit yet?
We're going to make a withdrawal first.
Okay.
Well, I think you'll be able to deposit a lot of stuff in here. Maybe muck up some of the works in here, cover our tracks.
Okay, who goes down first?
I think Boomstick.
Okay.
The most expendable.
As Boomstick begins climbing down this ladder, he gets about 2 rungs down when the ladder disappears from his hands.
Sucks, don't it?
And a giant pit opens up beneath him.
Oh!
There aren't any spikes, but he falls a good 10-15 feet into a level below the basement.
Okay.
And I will let you roll a high-risk check to try to catch on something, to try to realize the ladder or something as you're falling to avoid the condition you'll get from this.
What's the dimensions of the pit? Is there like a ledge that I can try and grab?
Yeah, I would say the pit is about 10 feet deep, and you have to fall 5 feet to get to the top area of the pit. So if you were able to grab the ledge on your way down, you would not gain the bruised and broken condition that you'll get from falling all the way in.
And how far is our companion?
Ellis is on the other side of the pit,
Okay.
already in the room past it.
I have a high value as a sturdy cane.
You could hook it onto... There's actually some shelves in this room that look like they hold bank documents, so with your sturdy cane, you could reach out and try to hook the bottom of one of those shelves to catch yourself and pull up.
All right, yeah, that sounds good. I will then for the cane. Heads, success.
Heads. Okay.
You all watch as Boomstick falls about 2 feet, but his very quick monkey reactions kick in, and he hooks his cane into some shelves, and you can hear this very, very loud crack as his back snaps into. And he manages to swing on over to where Ellis is, and he goes,
"Oh, feels like it was yesterday when I was swinging through the forest."
How did you do that? I
Oh,
really thought that was gonna get you.
what do you mean you thought he was gonna get me? Oh, you younger generation and your fancy dancy traps. Oh, back in my day, we had something called guts, spine.
Help! Help! They're breaking in! Help!
Well, think our cover's blown.
I'm going to pull out a live. That's the right-hand pistol, because it's quieter than dead. The one that shoots the paralytic darts.
Yes.
Nice.
And I'm going to say, I think you need to keep quiet there, sir. This'll help you relax.
I'm going to say that's a low-risk check. It's something you're very familiar with. He's a pretty easy target. You can see well in the dark.
Okay. And this is a high-value possession here, so...
Yep, so you're going over.
Oh, but it's a 1.
Okay, so you succeed at shooting him. The dart sticks in his neck, and he just slumps over on the ground unconscious. But you do endanger your pistol. Do you have an idea of how that might happen?
Yeah, I drop it. It goes down into the pit.
Oh,
It
shit!
slips out of my inebriated fingers. Oh, ow.
Get you another one.
Mr. Boomstick, if you would be so kind as to reach over and pick up that piece there, I would appreciate it. Be careful. It is haunted.
No problem.
You watch as Boomstick very slowly leans forward and...
Not from that end.
Manages to pick it up out of the pit using his cane.
Okay, you managed to retrieve alive from the pit. You can see there's some scuff on it, there's some tarnish. It looks like it's partly broken, but would still work.
All right. Well, then, it looks like I'm going to have to depend more upon dead, more's the pity.
So you've made it into the basement, but your dragonkin, Ellis, who was supposed to help you get through things, is now unconscious. Happily, though you have stepped into the center of the room, and since he mentioned the dart trap, you can kind of see the holes on the walls where that would have happened. He did actually flip the switch that took that one away, so you do not have to contend with the dart trap.
All right.
To the side here, you can see a hefty-looking vault door.
Well, I think that there's going to be our entrance. Francis is going to step over to Ellis's crumpled body and rifle through his jacket and pull out the cigar that he gave him. It's mine.
I like your sense of propriety.
Only seems fair considering he tried to screw us out of a payday for all of us.
Indeed. All right, here.
How thick does this vault door look?
The vault door looks very thick. The walls around it, just adobe. You are underground in the basement with the vault to your side and the pit behind you, and nothing else in this room aside from the shelves filled with banking records.
All right, could you describe the vault? Is it a combination lock? Is it some sort of magical handprint thing?
The vault looks like it has a complicated locking mechanism that requires 2 different keys.
Well, damn.
I think I can blow through this wall.
It might come to that.
It's gonna be loud, though. And I'm not sure how we're gonna get out of that hole.
You any good at picking locks there, Mr. Billy?
No.
Well, then
I'm more good at finding people.
might need to go ahead and open the door the loud way, then.
Well, let us search Mr. Ellis first to see if he has at least one of the keys on him.
You search Ellis. You do find 1 key. You see that it is the one that he used to open the door at the top, the sort of fake vault door. But on sticking it in one of these keyholes, you see that it does actually fit this as well.
Looks like we might need to find one more person. From my casing, I know that there are probably 2 guards outside.
Yes. Actually, because you were watching the poker game and waiting for Ellis to leave, you saw 2 guards come downstairs and go into the side room upstairs.
Ooh, want to go and try and see if we can get something out of them?
We could just make a simple noise down here, and if he comes to investigate, we could dry gulch him.
I think that sounds like a mighty fine plan.
Well, it's down to improvisation at this point. Hold on. Need a little courage.
Boomstick, would you mind doing the honors of making us a small noise?
It would be my pleasure.
How deep is the pit?
The pit is 10 feet deep.
Okay. He is going to lower himself in and...
I've fallen! Please! I think my leg is broken! Help! Help!
Just so you guys know, I am starting a timer.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, jeez. I think we need to move quickly now, and I'm going to pull out a gun.
Yeah, I've got the entire deck of cards, all 53 of them splayed out.
You hear sort of a thumping, something falls over, and the 2 guards rush down the stairs.
I was just trying to make a deposit! The ladder fell from under me! Help!
Oh my gods, it's this guy again! Damn it. I already sounded the alarm. You should, I don't know, catch the constable at the door or something. Let's just haul him out.
Crap, the alarm's already been sounded. Then I think it's time to start a shooting.
Yeah, Francis is gonna fling cards.
Okay.
I'll take the one on the right, you take the one on the left.
All right.
I think they're about to solve the solution for us, but okay.
we wait until they start to come down before we do it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they come down. They're at the bottom of the stairs.
It's that harmless old loon.
They see the harmless old loon, and you both wing off a shot and a card.
Yep.
And I say, the beautiful lady says hello. And I'll shoot. I'm hoping one of them speaks Italian.
This system has no formal initiative, but I'm going to put us in initiative anyway, because it's just easier. And Billy, you're up first.
All right, pulling out dead. Alarm's already been sounded, and I'm going to shoot this mangy cur.
I'm going to call all of these combat checks medium risk.
All right. This is high, but I have already risked it, but I am shooting dead instead of alive.
Okay, so you're going over.
Oh, and it's a failure.
No.
Ooh. So you succeed at shooting him, but because it was already endangered and you have endangered it again, you are going to lose your guns.
Okay. As I shoot, once again, in my inebriated condition, I am unprepared for the kickback or the recoil of this gun. I shoot him, smacks him right in the vitals there. But the gun itself, however, goes flying out of my hand, whipping me around, and clatters off and falls back down the pit. And this time, it breaks.
Oh, no.
This bigger, burlier, red-scaled dragonkin goes down. He's clutching his chest, gasping as a gaping wound opens in his chest. Holy hell! I gotta get the constable! And he runs back up the stairs, leaving his friend behind.
Ah, shit.
But you have a downed guard, presumably with
All
a
right.
key.
Francis, can you stop him? Boomstick. Get ready with your dynamite in case this fella don't have a key handy.
Boomstick's on it! What I'm doing on my turn is setting up the dynamite. I don't think Boomstick is quite as limber enough to catch a younger man running at full speed.
Okay, so Boomstick starts setting up the dynamite on the wall next to the safe.
I think Sly Eye is going to rush to try and keep up with this guy, and when he gets a good straightaway, he's going to take both of these cards, light them up with magic, and fling them and try and cut his Achilles tendons. Just drop him straight to the ground.
Medium risk check. What are you rolling with?
My deck of cards that has 53 cards in it. That is a high value.
Okay, so you're going over.
A 2.
Okay. You succeed. These flaming cards whip out. That's the timer. These flaming cards
no.
whip out from your hands and slice into this dragonkin's tendons. He falls with a wail and continues to wail as he clutches his leg. And at the door, which bangs open, you see a short Navajo woman, maybe 5 feet, with a cowboy hat on, couple of eagle feathers sticking out, and behind her another figure you can't quite see in the doorway, and she shouts, "Stop, thief! Put your hands in the air!"
Yeah, I think that Francis is gonna say, damn, you caught me. It's too bad. It was pretty quick of you. Must have been watching this place pretty closely.
Downstairs, you hear a massive boom as Boomstick's dynamite goes off next to the vault.
I would like to have gone around the corner.
Yeah.
The adobe wall next to the vault door crumbles away, and on the next level up, where you are with the constable, Francis, you see the floor almost ripple with the force wave, and it looks very unstable now. The constable looks at it too, between the two of you, kind of sizing up whether she wants to cross it or not.
I wouldn't go over that if I were you. The dynamite I set is mighty powerful, and, I thought I would be able to get out of here scot-free, pulling a one-man job with all this.
Constable Sitsi cocks her gun. She's keeping it on you, just a straight line, and she says, "My gun doesn't have to cross the floor. Hampton, around the back." And you see the other figure behind her kind of disappears, and you know that she's coming around to this door by your side. Let's jump back downstairs. What's Billy up to?
Mr. Boomstick, there's no way we're gonna get out of here with this score. So I'm gonna have to go with my personal plan B. I want you to toss every stick of explosive you have into that there vault. Just mix it up with the money.
But my boom! sticks!
You can do it. It'll be a real big boom.
I can buy a lot of orange juice with all that coin in there. You owe me orange juice.
Oh, I'll get you orange juice, all right.
All right. Here.
And just tosses it very haphazardly into the pile of money that's in the bank.
Billy and Boomstick, with this wall now gone, the vault door having clanged to the floor, you see inside the room there are 2 bags of money. Just 2.
Oh, well, my job was to clear out the vault by any means necessary. Splashy if need be.
But as the dust settles from this explosion, you can both see a weird sort of outline on the floor. Of a floor that doesn't look like the sort of floor you would expect. Perhaps an illusion?
Interesting.
And we're gonna jump back upstairs. Francis, you have the deputy coming around the back. The constable has her gun trained on you across this unstable floor.
Does the door open in or out?
It opens out.
Okay. I'm gonna risk my life to do this.
I'm getting down to that too.
As soon as I hear Vera, getting to just to the other side of the door, I'm gonna make a dash towards it, because presuming that this is, a nice, heavy door, and I'm gonna use my entire body to slam it outwards and try and knock her out. And I'm risking my life.
Risking your life always counts as going over, so roll and let's see.
I'm running against a hail of bullets.
Aha! You got it too!
Yeah.
You barrel towards this door, taking Constable Sitsi by surprise. She gets off a shot, and it into the adobe right by your head as you dodge past. You slam into this door right as Deputy Hampton is trying to come in, and the weight of the wood you feel knocks her back heavily, and she cries out from outside. The constable is reloading, and you have a split second to get out or go down, depending on your choice.
Francis is gonna grab Vera by the front of her jacket, hoist her up, bring out one of his cards, light it on fire, and hold it to her neck, and say, Constable, I don't want to hurt your deputy here, but I think you're going to let me and my friends waltz on out of here, proving just how insecure this bank is, and you both get to walk away. It'd be a shame if the papers were to know that you let your friend get hurt, wouldn't it?
I'm gonna say this is a high-risk check.
And risking life again? That worked out.
As much as I want to, because this is specifically taking the third option, I feel like even though it's matching, I need it to be my belief of always having ace up your sleeve.
Okay.
50-50.
See if my luck holds. Yes! Yes! That's a 2! Yes!
Yes! Okay, you succeed. You hold this burning slip of a card to Deputy Vera Hampton's neck. You can see her pulling back against it, trying to get away from the heat, and Constable Sitsi across the way, her eyes, which were so hard when demanding that you surrender, suddenly break with worry. She puts her gun up and she says, okay, let's talk about this, okay? You let go of my deputy, and let us take you in, and I can guarantee a fair trial. We'll hear you out.
What a deal.
It doesn't look like you actually got into the vault. Did you actually steal anything? I'm sure we could spin this. Just don't hurt my friend.
I'm not gonna hurt your friend, and I think at this point Francis is going to start doing just a patter. What he's used to of trying to keep a conversation going.
Stalling.
Yeah.
Back down in the basement, Boomstick and Billy have found possibly an illusory floor covered in the adobe dust next to 2 measly bags of money.
If we shove that dynamite that Boomstick had set up onto the illusory floor, does it fall into empty space?
You reach out, and it feels solid to you. And as you interact with it, the illusion brushes away. and you see another trapdoor, this one wooden and much larger than the other, leading into some underground space.
Gonna try and open the trap door.
You pull this massive door open. The two of you climb down this trapdoor and find yourself in a massive cave. Some of it looks naturally there, but some of it looks like it was hewn out of the rock. You can see pickaxe marks marring the stone around. Right where you come down, there is a small bell attached to a wooden platform that looks like if you just knocked on it, it would ring a tone. And the cave goes on for quite a bit deeper.
Yes, well, I can see way off there in the distance a mighty treasure that will not blow up with dynamite.
Yeah, I don't think my box of boom can take care of this whole cavern.
However, we might be able to hide down here.
Gabby, you said that there was just a bell?
Yep.
Boomstick is gonna ring it. Ding!
You bang on the bell, it reverberates throughout this cavern, and you hear a sort of rasping sound, almost as if scales brushing on stone.
This does not
moving
sound good.
through a narrow passage as a blue dragon rounds the corner. Fairly young, not as huge as you might have thought, but still pretty big. Maybe 10 feet taller than you?
I pull my... Oh, no.
Yeah. I was about to say.
The dragon says, "Is it dinner time already?"
Oh, Jesus
And
Christ!
we're gonna jump back up to Francis.
Okay, did I hear the bell?
I don't think you hear the bell. That's
Okay.
through 2 stories of stone at this point. But you do hear a lack of sort of noise and rustling below that might make you wonder what happened to your companions.
Yeah, Francis has been doing the patter for a few minutes. He's not hearing anything. He's not seeing anything. All right, Constable. We're going to play the game your way. I'm going to let your deputy go. We're going to walk on down to that there jailhouse. All right? I surrender. You got me, copper. He's going to take the card away. He's still going to have it in his hand.
There's sort of a tense moment as Deputy Hampton and Constable Sitsi try to gauge whether you're for real. But as you put your hands up, Deputy Hampton goes to try to grab your wrists and put your hands behind your back to put you in manacles.
I'm good with that.
She cuffs you and starts to lead you out the back door.
As this is happening, I'm going to use my belief of always having an ace up your sleeve to have the actual ace that I have up my sleeve light on fire and shoot out from my jacket, ruining my poor jacket sleeve, but slicing the manacle off.
Okay. With what objective? So I know where to rate the risk.
Basically, I'm going to try and cause as much commotion as possible and get Vera and the sheriff to chase after me. And get the hell out of Dodge, but keep them behind me.
I'm gonna call that high risk.
That's okay. That's going to be a meet.
So you fail and endanger the ace up your sleeve.
Yep.
So as you try to shoot out with this flaming card, Vera, she's wise to your tricks now. And she deftly sidesteps it and jerks your wrists around so that the card does not hit the manacles. It impacts on the floor, sort of crumpled and singed. And she picks it up and waves it in front of your face and says, "Oh, you were gonna try that trick again?"
Ow, 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 ow. Don't hurt the moneymakers. Don't hurt the moneymakers.
Constable Sitsi can see that Vera's got it under control, so she comes around the back and joins the two of you over here. But as she comes in this door, she looks over towards where the fake vault door used to be and to where the trap door is. And she glances around for the other guards and she says, "What's over there?"
Over there? Oh, that would be where my partner in crime fell. I had a man on the inside, man by the name of Ellis Ford. He took his gun, shot one of the other guards that was in here. Oh, that fella, I did not kill him. He's laying there wailing up a storm like a babe.
Sitsi steps over and looks in the doorway, and she flips her gun around and puts it in the holster, and she says, Vera, this is our chance to see what's going on in there. Vera says, I don't know, Sitsi. They might be back pretty soon. And Sitsi says, we've been trying to get inside of this place for months. They're locked up tight, but we answered their call. I think we just take a peek around. It's what any good security force would do. And Vera, still gripping you tightly by the arm, says, well, do you want me to take this one back to the cell? And Sitsi looks you up and down and says, he's pretty wily. I think we should bring him along with. And she heads down the trap door. She can see the pit, which is still there, and manages to leap it. Between the three of you, we're going to say you managed to get down into the cavern. It's going to take you a few minutes of just maneuvering.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I'm going to have you join the downstairs in a few minutes.
Yeah, Francis makes a big point of pointing out, like, how Ellis was, the man on the inside, shot, demonized Sloane, as it were.
Back below in the dragon's lair, as it were, this dragon just came slithering around the side and said, is it dinner time already? And she continues, I hope you didn't bring the same thing as last time, because I'm getting so bored of, roast duck? And she comes up very friendly, very open, looking at you like friends, kind of sniffling the air.
Hello there.
Oh, hi.
It is not quite dinner time. We came to warn you. The employees of the bank have risen up, and it is their plan to liberate all the contents of the vault and take it for themselves.
Oh, my God.
I heard them plotting to kill you up there.
What?
We bravely managed to stop them as best we could, but as you can see, they have left us wounded and insane.
This is a high-risk check, Billy.
I'm going to have to check. I'm risking my life on this. I got nothing left.
I think that's fair.
Unless you did mention this is a female dragon, did you not?
This is a female dragon.
I don't think that counts as women folk, though.
That's up to your definition.
I'm going to risk my life on this. Alrighty.
You succeed. This is frankly ludicrous, but this dragon seems to be pretty naive to the ways of the world.
That's what I was hoping.
And she steps closer and says, Oh my God, did they break your leg? Did they get you drunk? Oh my God.
You would not believe the indignities they have heaped upon me.
They threw me out into the dirt!
After stealing all of his orange juice.
And my orange juice!
I'm gonna try and obfuscate this dragon with my sesquipedalianism.
Well, gosh, you guys are here. Quick, come, deeper in the cave. I guess we could go out the back way. I don't know about leaving this treasure though. There's an awful lot of bank employees though.
Oh, the back way sounds really good.
Okay, yeah. Can you walk? Follow me.
Yeah, sure, I can walk. Maybe not straight, but I can walk. Come on, Boomstick, out the back.
What do you say you help us move this here treasure?
Right as you guys are kind of coming into this bigger cave area, Constable Sitsi, Deputy Hampton, and Sly Eye come down from above. Sly, you've still got manacles on, but they're on the front now, so that you could actually maneuver the pit. Sitsi is looking around, eyes wide, like, what are they doing down here? What? This is supposed to be a bank!
Why the hell would there be this big of a... See, this is what I was wondering about. They said there was a big-ass hole underneath here.
Thank goodness you're here, constables.
Oh, dear.
Who are you?
My name is Elias T. Darkness. I have been hired by a private security firm to investigate the goings-on of this here lair of criminals. As you can see, they have amassed a vast fortune of criminal gold. I enlisted the help of these two witless folk to try and help me get in here to gather proof.
Oh, you're with him. And she points to Francis. This is going to be a high-risk check.
Okay.
Yeah, Francis holds up his manacles like, my dude.
What do you mean, witless?
And I'm going to be appealing probably more to the deputy, trying to appeal to her innate, or hopefully in Billy's experience, innate feeling that, you know, he's a male drow. He would kowtow to her. He wouldn't lie to her face. This is his hope. And I'm going to use my belief on this.
Yeah, normally I would increase the check for your inebriation, but because it's already a high check,
Okay.
I cannot.
The drunk professional.
Alrighty. Elias T. Darkness is rolling.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are rolling crazy good! Crazy good!
Having freaking heart palpitations over here.
Through this drunken mishmash of words, there's enough of a ring of truth, this idea of investigating the shadiness that's been going on. You kind of hit on some of Sitsi's own suspicions about this place. You've been watching her, kind of eyeing it up for the last couple of days as you staked it out. She is still clearly not feeling great about Francis, who attacked her good friend, but is maybe willing to hear you out. Maybe there's a misunderstanding.
I would also like to, pantomime, there's a dragon back.
The dragon pokes her head around the corner and says, "Oh, hi! Did you get the bad guys upstairs? All of the, kobolds and the workers?"
What the fuck is that? Cax Club, what the fuck is that?
This charming reptile is willing to turn state's evidence. Play with me. It's our only way of survival.
Okay.
The dragon sort of nods and says, "Yeah, these guys were helping me out. There was this huge insurrection upstairs. Oh my god, I can't believe they would turn on us. They always seemed so loyal."
You got our alarm, I take it.
Sitsi's clearly trying to take a lot of this in. She's looking at the massive piles of gold and chests and silver and just all of this money. And she says, "Okay, this is a mess.
Boomstick!
But if you're willing to come along to the station, we can sort it out there." And she unlocks Francis's manacles as sort of a peace offering.
Absolutely.
She's looking over the dragon and saying, "Are you gonna fit up the trap door? How did you get in here?" And the dragon says, "Oh, I came in the back way. There's a long tunnel and it goes out to this mountain, and yeah, I don't know if I should have told you that. Probably not. Anyway."
Ooh, I can make my deposit now! $1!
He sets it on the pile of gold.
That'll show 'em.
You drop your dollar on the pile of gold. The constable's a little bit at a loss for words, but trying to manage things. She says, okay. Deputy, would you please go with the dragon out the back way and bring her back to the courthouse? Do you feel comfortable doing that? I'll take the rest of these out the front way and meet you there. We can debrief."
Back in my day, they didn't let women on the force.
Vera glares
How
at you.
dare you, sir, malign the authority of women folk. Pardon me, ma'am, my state of inebriation. But you can tell, obviously... See, I broke my leg earlier today, and this is the only thing that is keeping the immense pain at bay. But you can tell by looking behind me that these folks have obviously amassed a criminal empire.
Right. Okay. Vera kind of claps Sitsi on the shoulder and says, yeah, I've got the dragon. I think you've got a larger handful than I do. And so she and the dragon, who introduces herself as Carrie Arentoth, they start to head out the back way.
I think Francis is going to say, well, now that that's taken care of, I think we should grab some evidence, don't you think, Constable? Grab a bunch of evidence from down there, just in case. Wouldn't want them to, come down and get rid of all of this evidence. You want to have some of it with you right now.
I'm going to call this a high-risk check, simply because you all are balancing on a tower of lies that is very thin and could come toppling down. And if she sees through your desire to grab some of this money, you could be enemies again. So, what are you risking to...
Has the other party already left the vicinity?
They've headed down a tunnel. You guess if screams were to happen, they might rush back, but it's difficult to tell.
I don't suppose this counts as high society.
I think for the definition we talked about, yeah, I'll lower it to a medium check because you're better at social skills.
Okay.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Since Blake is trying to convince her that he doesn't want evidence tampered with, and Boomstick specializes in monkey business, can he go about trying to meddle with things, putting them out of place, just throwing gold everywhere and having fun? Like, this is like he's out in the snow and having a good time in the vault of gold.
Yeah, you're crazy enough. Okay. What factor are you risking to cooperate with Blake and lower his risk?
I guess risking my life. I mean, like, I don't have anything that's quite applicable.
Yeah.
My plan is to, Scrooge McDuck this and jump into the pile of gold and try and swim around, so I imagine that would be quite the maneuver for an elderly gentleman to pull off.
Okay, I think this is a medium risk to lower it, so go ahead and roll over because you're risking your life.
Yes.
I always wanted to do something like this!
Yes!
Okay, you succeed. You dive into this pile of gold, and Sitsi, flabbergasted, says, Sir, would you...
Hop in, the water's warm!
She completely leaves Francis behind to come and grab you and haul you out of the gold. But in all of the distraction, it would not be difficult for someone to slip a few pieces into their pockets if they wanted to. Not a whole chest or anything like that, but a fair bit of money.
Okay.
I'm going to try and help her to secure Boomstick. I'm sorry, I found these people at the last minute. I had to hire people who
I'm getting orange juice!
were frankly expendable. You understand how it is when you're gathering a posse, and you can't always choose very well.
Oh, don't I know it.
I hope that you really, really stick it to these. Did I mention that the folk that are behind this are the family? I can't... Arentoth family.
Sitsi's eyes go a little wide, and she says, What? All the way out here?
It's true.
Well, I think you and I have a lot to talk about.
I think that's a very good idea.
You and Constable Sitsi with Boomstick slung between you and Francis lingering on the side, pockets perhaps lined a bit more heavily than before, make your way up out of this cave.
My ultimate plan is to mention to Francis on our way up, we better hope that there was no plan B anywhere.
Ooh.
It would be bad if we were to be surprised and distracted.
I agree with that. I didn't exactly expect to see a dragon down here. That threw me off all which way.
Keep your eyes sharp.
So the four of you head up, and I presume you're going to try to enact your plan B to distract the constable so you can grab more money?
No. My job here is done. The constables have found the money. This will probably be confiscated and investigated and tie up the Arentoth family for quite some time.
Excellent.
My job was not to retrieve, but to deprive. I will count this as a win, and I'm already figuring out how I can spin this in my telegram.
Well, there's about to be a big-ass blast, so...
Okay, I'm not going to make you roll for it, because we're over time and we're sort of in epilogue territory, and you all did everything you came to do. So, you all emerge from the Dragon's Lair, the cave. It's been long enough. I think the sun is just breaking over the horizon, painting the sky a beautiful orange. As the constable is leading you to the jail cell, Francis flicks a lighted card in the way of Boomstick's dynamite, which Billy set up on top of the Richard's flour mill, and the entire mill goes up in a fucking bonfire.
Oh, dear heavens.
Shit! Get the fire brigade!
In the confusion, as Constable Sitsi tries to get together a posse of her own, the three of you manage to skip town. Perhaps you share a bit of your ill-gotten gains. Perhaps you just keep them for yourself. Perhaps you travel together, or you go your own ways. But as you ride off into the sunrise, you know that
Wagons east.
this was a job well done.
Well done? I don't know about that.
Adequately done.
Any job you can drunkenly limp away from is a job well done.
Now where's my orange juice?
This episode of Elsewhere, The Bank Job in Dust and Blood has Blake Alfson as Francis Sly Eye Bolton, Zach Parker as Boomstick, Keith Curtis as Billy Midnight, and myself, Gail Parker, as the Risk Moderator. The system we used is Never Tell Me the Odds by David Somerville. Our theme song is Dust and Blood by Arne Parrott, and other music throughout this recording is provided by Kevin Macleod, Tabletop Audio, Dark Fantasy Studios, and the Desperados 3 original game soundtrack by Filippo Beck Peccoz. Transcripts, detailed sound credits, and more can be found on our website at dustandbloodpod.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Dust and Blood Pod, or support us through our Patreon at Dust and Blood, where you can join our community Discord and get perks like our behind-the-scenes discussion show, The Roundup. I just want to say thank you if you are one of our Patreon supporters, people like Barbara, Saru, 50 Sloths of Grey, and Lego Queen BB. We really appreciate your support. Episodes through the end of the first arc are already out, and there's more coming on April 1st. Content warnings can be found in every episode description, and we hope you enjoy exploring this fantasy western with us. Thanks for listening.
My eyes shoot open to the early morning sun. I feel that aching, pounding, poking of a bullet in my lungs. Skinny ceiling, bones crunching. I feel that wretched ancient something drag me up to face that coward son of a gun. His face grows white as he fumbles for his holster. I feel the lead pierce my shoulder, neck, and chest. I scream that I have died 100 times and lived 1,000 years, and I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best. Yes, I'll be damned if a boy like you's gonna be the best.
I wish we were in the other game, because I have a random roll table for, like, remedies for Bonesaw.
Oh, God.
But the thing that I recall from all this research is most of it's alcohol anyway.
Yep.
Or turpentine for sheep.
Or turpentine for sheep, yep.